Welcome home. We are WNST. Towson, Baltimore. Baltimore Positive. We're positively back at on the road here all summer long doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. I'll be telling you, I'm going to brag on last week. We were at Coco's on Wednesday. We were on Cooper's down on the square watching the planes fly by on Friday and telling old rock and roll stories with Ron Furman from Max's Tap House, formerly Max's on Broadway. Bill Cole from Cole Roofing. I wish I had my Cole Roofing mug here. I drank a lot of coffee this morning, a lot of Royal Farms, but he joined me on Friday. We talked about the pride in Baltimore of having the city full. And even though there's a lot of Phillies fans around, they were leaving behind a lot of money as well. This week, we're going to be at Costas on Thursday before the Orioles-Yankees game. There is a rumor that new uncle Luke Jones will be joining us for the 4 o'clock game and the 3 o'clock hour. So we're going to be at Costas on Thursday. I'll be giving away the Gold Rush Sevens doublers from the Maryland Lottery. Also, our friends at Jiffy Lube Multicare making our crab cake tour happen, and Liberty Pure Solutions keeping the water crystal clear. This is my orange Kool-Aid. I need clean water from Liberty Pure Solutions in order to make that happen. And then we are at Pappas next Tuesday, and I've got some guests signed up for Pappas next week. It appears as though the one-time WBAL powerhouse, John Patty, will be my guest at Pappas. Also, Barry Stitz, who's been ducking me since we played Little League together in 1979 in Eastwood Little League. He's now running the Curly athletic events over there. We have a Curly kid playing Major League Baseball right now, so it's pretty timely. And, of course, Stitz and I ran together with the Blast in a Spirit 25, 30 years ago. We'll tell some stories about eating chicken wings and drinking beer on the road. And then this guy's going to come by and manage my money as well as my expectations for all things Ravens and Orioles, as well as the Caps from time to time. I said some bad things about Ted Leone just on the air to Howard Scher last week at State Fair. Leonard Raskin. How are you? What's going on? You and I have not had any crabs together this summer.
We haven't.
What's going on? You're coming for crab cakes at Pappas. You have to keep your hands clean.
Absolutely. Well, we had some crabs this past weekend. We did a little bit of crabs for Father's Day. We didn't fight the Baltimore City crowd and the sold-out 44,000 at M&T, which is not M&T, Camden Yards, which was fantastic. I mean, I was watching the games over the weekend, loving what I was seeing. 2 fantastic series, 2 out of 3 against the Braves, 2 out of 3 against the Phillies. I love having the Philly fans down here, especially love beating them. But as you said, what's better for the economy than people driving an hour or so down 95 and leaving all their money in the city? It's excellent. And the team losing. It's a perfect combination. So
I had some crabs at Costas 2 weeks ago. The day after my wife broke her leg, we're like, what can we do? What can we still do that's fun? So we had snowballs. We had pit beef. We had legitimate crabs. One thing I haven't had any real steamed shrimp with some proper beer and onions. I'm working on all of this week because we're at Costas on Thursday. We'll be at Pappas. I have your little crab mallet thing out here. We do a lot of branding here, right? Like, so I can hold your crab mallet out. You have investments, which you've been very clever in how you branded, and part of what you do is talk about money here. You know what? A couple weeks ago, we skipped, and Bill Cole skipped that week, and it was 2 weeks ago. It was right around when my wife broke her ankle, which sort of changed trajectory of the whole summer for me. But I got an invitation. I bought Oriole tickets like everybody else. I got an email to take a survey, a new fan survey. So I'm not going to drop that on you right now, but I want to do that. Cole has told me he's going to do it. I want to do it where I open it up right here on the Zoom and I literally take it. But I'm a little afraid some of the questions might be personal to my address or whatever. So I don't even know what it entails. But I opened it and I went 3 in and I'm like, stop. This is a bit for radio. And this isn't even a bit for Nestor and what Nestor thinks of, the Whistler calling me and yelling at me that I'll write about later on in the year about my press credential and being Venezuelan. This is really more about how you feel and how people on the periphery that haven't partaken. You gave your seats to Phillies fans this weekend, right? Like, there were a lot of Philadelphia fans here.
Yeah, it was a good sale.
Yeah, Mr. Rubenstein would like for it, but this is what I'm going to drop on you this week. This is my. We don't do kayfabe here, not even with our sponsors or Raskin Global. Tell me about the T Row price deal in your mind and you
Oh,
seeing it and the patch and the alleged $15 million a year. That's the number. I don't know if it's, I don't want to play the Trump. I don't know if that's the number, but I'm hearing if it's 15 million, that's a good number.
yeah, it's a good number.
It buys 1/4 of or 1/3 of a really good ball player in the future. What is that? What does that do? And how does that relate to Raskin Global in regard to money management, all of that? Because they're out in front, dude. It was glowing like on Father's
Yes,
Day, right?
yes,
Like so
absolutely.
they're all in the way
Yep.
you just said M&T Bank Stadium, getting the name wrong. We all get
Right,
all this jumbled up, whether
right,
it's Pappas
right.
or Costas or Cocos. They're all great Fadleys. I love you all. You're my sponsors. I There is some individuality that I try to bring to all of this that I've been seeing T-Row and Leg Mason all over town all of my
Yep,
life. I
yep,
see their names. I work with you. I've worked with other people, and I have a friend that works in a different place. But that money and that sponsorship and what that represents for the team, for the community, it's not a stadium naming
right.
right. Banks are doing that. CFG Bank, all that
Yep.
confidence thing. I think for the baseball team, and this is really an unprecedented deal.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, you got to give them credit. They said it's been going on negotiating for a while before Rubenstein owned the team, and he continued the negotiations. You got a long time Baltimore based company, T. Rowe Price. You got a long time sports franchise, the Orioles. They come together. I don't know how much the money is, but it ain't cheap. Whatever that amount is, it's not, I wouldn't say insignificant to T Row, but it's not huge either.
I heard it was 5 years, 75.
That's great.
And I don't know. I mean, like
Let's
until they
assume it is.
confirm or deny,
Let's assume it
and
is.
it is, that seems to
It's good.
be.
It's a good
And I'm
number.
gonna listen. I'm gonna talk to John Arand. I'm gonna talk to Eric Fisher. I'm gonna talk to Marty Conway. All the
But let's
usual
assume that's the
suspects I
number.
have. Who knows?
Let's assume that's a number. It's a good number. You got a solid brand. From my standpoint, T. Rowe Price is a money management firm. They handle investments. That's all they do. And they do it fine. They do a fine job. They're a public company. They get their branding out. The goal for them is to have individual investors and advisors use their company to buy funds and assets through them. They are a big player in the 401k space. A lot of companies have their 401ks at T. Rowe Price. The Maryland 529 college funding plan is through T. Rowe Price. So you're right. They've been all over. But now to connect them with the Orioles gives them a broad spectrum. And they've been more than Baltimore. They couldn't have made the money they've made and be as big as they are with only Baltimore investors. So they're national already. But now they're right behind home plate. And as you said, they are front and center on the jersey.
Every Yankees fan in the world, in Japan, places where
Wherever.
they bet on baseball, they're trying to make it happen in London, where the Yankees are a global brand. And for the
Absolutely.
next 3
Number
days,
one selling jersey in the world.
yeah, that patch will be there, right?
Right on the Orioles sleeve, and a chance for anybody in the world watching to see T. Rowe Price. And for them, as I said, from a marketing budget standpoint, drop in the bucket and the potential return significant. Big significant. I think it's a great move by both entities, and I'm surprised we haven't seen more of it sooner. The NASCARification, I'll call it. There's a word for you. The NASCARification of baseball. The next thing, Nestor, we can talk about this till the cows
By
come
the way, I
home.
just Googled this. Barcelona sells more jersey than the Yankees.
Okay.
Just throwing it out.
Worldwide.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so there you go. You got one. And were they number two? So maybe they're number two.
I don't know. I'm going to look it up because I really did wonder about that because
I think they're
the
top.
New
I mean,
York part
they're
of
everywhere.
The New York part of the gray jersey certainly, that has cachet anywhere you go. The N
That's
and the
right.
Y, I would say the hat of
The
all
hat.
ball caps, the
Oh, of
NY hat
course.
because women wear it
Everywhere.
and Moscow, everywhere in the
everywhere
world.
and for
Right,
no
yeah.
reason, just because they like it. It's
No,
cool.
no, no, it was the song. This is New
Yeah,
York.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
good for
that
them.
was all it.
And
In
Frank
my days, it
Sinatra,
was start
New York,
spreading
New
the
York. Right,
news. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
But
Well, it's a good
but
week to sing New York songs. Why isn't it? It's
that's
not
right. We're
bad, right?
going. We're going and we're winning. That's what we got to do. Look, I've been
Would you get like today? Would you jump in the car and go to the Bronx and see a
no,
game review? No.
no, no.
Have you ever been to Yankee Stadium?
Yes, the old, original,
You haven't been to
real.
the new one though.
I have not been to the new one yet, but I've
Dude,
been to the old.
it's made for guys like you. It's all corporated up.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
meant
That's what
for
I hear.
business and doing big.
Well,
Yeah,
they're only
it,
20,000 a seat along the rail or something.
by
You
the
know.
way, tickets are like every time I've gone up there,
Yeah.
and this is just me being like, I'm not being mean about the Yankees because we're
I
playing them
just
this
want to
week.
go up
Because
and spend a day.
honestly, I've been going to Yankees games in New York for 35 years. I
Yeah.
was driving up there with my beer buddies back in the days when Don Mattingly was like literally
Sure.
Kevin Moss,
Sure.
literally, right? So I've gone through all of it, the old stadium, the new stadium, big games in the old stadium, World Series games in the old stadium, in the dugout with Tony Gwynn, the whole like I've done it all. I've
Yep.
seen it all,
Yep.
as they
Yep.
would say, right?
Yep.
Like the documentary would show everybody that. If you
Not been
want to go check that out,
to
Foreign
the
Daughter
new.
and Curio Wellness for putting that thing together, and Greg Landry from Towson Transfers. It's still lots of people seeing it. So the Yankee thing for me in all of the years is I loved the Yankee team when I was syndicated at the turn of the century. I'm talking about Clemens,
Yep.
Knobloch, O'Neill, those guys, Jeter, those guys were great to me. I was at their team party when Nagel won, and like Mike Stanton was Jeff Nelson from Catonsville, one of Muller's people over there.
Yep.
Pitching all the teams. Like, so I felt differently about them and the Red Sox with my wife and Kurt Schilling and like all of that. This Yankee thing, I have never seen a series like this. But I'll also say this in this century, and especially in the new ballpark, and I've gone up there for playoff games when we lost in the playoffs up
Yep.
there. I paid $40 to get in that night. It was never expensive to go to the Bronx. And when I've taken bus trips up there with fans, tickets are $10 in the bleachers. Like it was always easy. This week, tickets are expensive,
I'll
Leonard.
tell you
Like
what.
it's $60 every night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon game. There's real demand. This is a big series by
It is a
New
big
York
series.
standards.
It is a big series. It's going to be front and center on national TV. I don't know the exact, but I'm pretty sure. It's to be watched television. It's appointment TV. That's what it is. It's time to watch and see how the youngins can step up against the vaunted Yankees. So we'll see. But, I was looking past week here, Braves and Phillies over the weekend. That wasn't a cheap seat. There was some
Well,
standing
the
room
Phillies
only
fans came
tickets.
down. It was really an incredible conversion of events. And Bill Cole and I discussed this in the window as the planes were buzzing down over
Yeah,
Fells Point at 2
my
o'clock in the
goodness.
afternoon on Friday. Hard time parking, getting
They had to
down there
call
in the morning
timeout in the
Friday.
game. They had to time out in the game because jets were going overhead. Nobody could hear a thing. They're
My
flying over the warehouse like they were about to bomb it.
my wife and I were incredibly blessed to be invited to Jamie Costello. I should say Jamie Raskin, not his event. Jamie Costello's event, his goodbye
Beautiful
party.
man. What a great guy.
Down at Little Havana, and I mean, it was just such a beautiful night because
I'll
my
bet.
wife's in a boot. By the way, can I publicly thank you for the
Sure.
when my wife's ankle blew out? Leonard's such a great friend to us that he and his wife Kathy Matthew say, "Hey, get this scooter." We came up to your house, we grabbed the scooter, and I don't even know where you live. Now I feel like I've been to your home and honked the horn, and right, you almost live on the same road. So we got the scooter, we got her into the middle of the room, and Pete Caringi took great care of my wife, kept her humored all night. He's quite the comedian, Pete is.
Hmm.
It's at Highlandtown Dundalk thing. Dave Johnson came over and held court and talked about pitching and Bradish and all this stuff. But here's we had a rookie mistake that I want to, as my money manager and advisor, my life manager and advisor, here's life management getting it wrong. You ready?
Uh-oh.
Costello and his wife throw this party at 6 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. The Orioles played at 4 o'clock, right?
Right.
My wife takes her time getting ready. She's in a boot. Everything's moving slow. She's in pain. It sucks. We're going out. We want to have a good time, but it's going to be different because she can't really move around
Right.
and like all of that. So we leave I said to her, we need to leave like 5:20, 5:30. We left more like 5:50. So
Mm.
we get in the car. I'd had the game on the whole day. I knew the game was nip tuck. I jumped a quick shower, threw my hair up out the door. We get in the car. She's driving. I look down. We put the game on. Bottom of the eighth inning. I'm like, we're going to Little Havana from Towson. There's only one road. You can't go
Team is
west
letting out.
side. You can't go west side Martin Luther King. You know you can't do that, right? So I'm like, we might want to just go through the tunnel and just go key high. We might just want to fish east and just literally go that way. And we wound up hitting. We got to the center of the city as the game ended.
Oh,
4 minutes. We were Mount Vernon when the game ended. And I'm like, we are so
mm.
effed. And you know what? We made it through. It wasn't awful, but I'll tell you this. It was all Phillies fans. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like coming down onto Light Street in that direction toward the harbor, it was
Yeah.
99% Phillies fans. And it was a beautiful
I was going to say
thing.
because they were staying at hotels to stay in the city for the next game and
Fleet
spend their
Week,
money. Yep.
Fleet Week, Pride, 3 days of Phillies Orioles, Father's Day,
Yep.
regular Oriole fans just going to go to the game anyway.
That's right.
Father's Day Oriole fans like you and Matthew, they're like, this is what we do. It's our tradition. If you're not golf people, because I know you're probably home watching golf, because there's a little bit of that too. There's a lot of golf on U.S. Open and Father's Day that goes on. But baseball's the other thing people do. Mother's Day, same thing. You get
Absolutely.
that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Um, what a beautiful thing dude. One of the reasons you love me, sponsor me, try to help me manage life, my money, all Baltimore positive. There's nothing more positive than what we
It was a
witnessed in this city this
fabulous
weekend.
Chamber of Commerce weekend. Perfect weather, great baseball. Like you said, Fleet Week, Pride, everything going on in the city, and people in the city. And I don't recall that the big report about the weekend was who got shot.
Well, Kyle Bradish, his arm, that was the story on Friday,
Terrible.
right? I
Terrible.
mean, like from the baseball team perspective, and then the
Yep.
games themselves. Did you hear the planes? Were you in any range to
Absolutely.
hear?
No, nowhere live, but watching the game on the TV, and watching them have to call timeout during the game because they were low and sleek flying over the stadium, and the sound was deafening. So
Well, I
they
remember that from living
timed
downtown when the
out.
Blue Angels would come by. I
Yeah.
said, you can't see them because they move too fast. You would think I lived on the 23rd floor. We would have this
Right.
great view.
No.
Maybe
For
a
like a
little bit on the
second.
approach if you could see them. If they were coming from the east, you couldn't see them at all. I would just say this. Friday, and I told this story to Ron Furman and I told it to Bill, so you'll hear it in other conversations, but I want to tell it again because it was a beautiful story. I'm coming down the highway to go to Cooper's. And I almost got gouged for parking in Baltimore, which was crazy because
Yeah.
that's never happened to me because I walked everywhere for 20 years.
Yep.
So I'm driving into the city and I'm coming down 83 and I see the planes and I start to hear it.
Oh yeah.
You can't. Okay. So I get down to the foot of President Street where we used to have squeegee boys and we don't anymore. So please
Right.
come back to the city, right? Like that's
Right.
one issue we have certainly. Squeegee boys do not exist. Please believe me when I tell you. I drive down there all the time. I was down there 4 days in a row this weekend. So I get down President Street and the planes are buzzing. And I made the left like through Little Italy.
Yep.
And I'm up on Central Avenue where all of those former project homes have been
Gone.
brought to the ground. It's now an incredible construction zone in, let's say, west of Butcher's Hill, east of Little Italy, in that sort of tender area there, right?
Yep.
Which is very Hispanic now, sort of Upper Fells Point, I guess is what we call it. So I get detoured a little bit, but it's all flag dudes, right? And I mean, all denominations, mostly male, but I saw 25 different flag people all wearing orange and yellow, all out in the street, and every one of them had their phones out and they were up in the sky with their phones
Oh yeah,
because you just couldn't not look up. And then I
absolutely.
turned the corner at Broadway to go park, and mothers and their children, a lot of my people, a lot of Venezuelan, a lot of Hispanic folks down in that area with their children and their families, literally just bringing their children to the corner to
And
look
checking
up
out the
to
Jets.
see the Jets at 11 in the morning on Friday. And I'm like,
Practice.
this is kind of cool.
That was practice.
This is something you remember. And I
Yeah.
just yeah, it was kind of a I had a magical weekend. You see me beaming, you see me
There you
wonder
go.
what
Well,
Baltimore
that is,
positive is.
I
It
was
was a
just going to
beautiful
say,
weekend,
man, that is Baltimore positive. That's what it's about. And we need more of that. They had a, we had a great weekend of a confluence of great things. We need more of those to get people to drive in. I'll be
And that's
down.
what T. Rowe Price is betting on, right? That's what we're all
Hey,
betting on,
you
right?
better believe it. They're betting on people seeing that logo. I think they now also have, so they have behind home plate during the game. I saw that. They have dead center field, I think, on the wall. I saw that. And on every jersey, the whole game. And so every home game, they're going to be exposed. And every road game, they're going to be exposed. And people are going to say, hey, who is that? I
But
don't
it
know
also
about
opens the
you.
lanes for other people that want to get involved with the brand that
Sure.
because this was a toxic
That's right.
situation for
That's
a
right.
long, long time. And I'm not going to play kayfabe and pretend that the last 30 years didn't happen because they did.
No, they
And
did.
and this is one of the byproducts of things that
A new
didn't happen in the
opportunity.
past.
That's
That
right. A
didn't
new
happen in the
local
past.
company that wants to be affiliated with the brand called the Orioles. That's exactly right. And, you know, I think it's a good look. I'm not concerned as an advisor. I think anything that gets people to think about their money and want a plan is a good thing. I think not everybody in the world or everybody in the country knows T. Rowe Price like we do here in Baltimore. And I don't know about you, but when I watch a game and it's on the road and there's some company advertising and I don't know who they are, I'm going to Google that company. I do it. I want to find out who's
In the
advertising.
past, you couldn't Google stuff. So when I would go to Kansas City, have you been to Kansas City?
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
they have a brand there called HYVEE.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that brand is?
I believe that is a massively huge tractor kind of company.
I
They're
don't know
they're
what you know what it is? It's a grocery store that competes with Wise
oh,
in
okay.
that
So it's a
market.
different.
And
Okay.
I did not know that
There's a company like that.
they have spent millions of dollars with the Kansas City Royals because I see that brand there.
Yep.
And whenever I'm there, I'm like, what the hell? What is it? And I
Yep.
would always ask, like, I would sit in the press box and ask, whoever's sitting next to me, like, what is it? Oh, it's a shop, it's a supermarket.
Gotcha.
And,
Gotcha.
and so in these regional companies spend a lot of money. To your point,
Absolutely.
in the old days, you couldn't Google it.
That's right.
Now you can Google. You know what I see a ton of. Speaking of playing in New York, anytime Japanese players are playing, you will see signs in baseball now that
Oh
as
yeah.
Americans we can't even read the
Can't
sign.
read. Can't
Can't
read.
even read the sign.
That's right. Because
That's how
those games
international this is.
those games are being broadcast home. That's exactly right. Well, that's why Shohei wants to be on the West Coast, right? The West Coast is the closest time zone.
Well, I mean, Leonard, and again, I will save this for a future reference, and I would love to take the survey. I have not opened it.
Yeah,
Scout's
got it.
honor. I want to do it blind. I want to do it on the air and like take it legitimately, but I am afraid it's going to present some challenges with entering. I may have to pull the screen down and
Yeah,
enter
that's all. You
certain.
have to stop
I'm
share
not
for a
saying
couple
out loud
things.
how I'm going to answer that,
That's
but I
right.
want to be honest with them. But I want more than that. I want you and other people to be honest and say, you don't have season books. Matthew likes it, but doesn't. Bill Cole's got kids that play other sports, big time other sports, and but at some point we're all trying to catch on to this because Leonard, you're an old fart like me.
They're
Tell your
winning.
kid it doesn't get any better than this. This
Oh,
is
there's no
like
doubt. He knows.
this is
He's
it.
watching. I
This is
say
the real thing.
he's not a big fan, but he's watching and he's asking me questions about the game.
Well,
I
tell me
didn't I
something here
didn't know
before I
about
let
that.
you go, and I'll see you at Pappas next week.
Yeah.
Raskin Global, I got your
Yes, sir.
this is an incredible device. It opens beer and it opens crabs.
That's
And
right.
this was your gift to me, empowering people to choose their financial future.
Amen.
Define what that means for folks.
It's simple. The end part is very simple. Your financial future, very important. What do you got going on today? What are you planning? How are you setting up your life to be ready for the future? Empowering, huge deal. People get told what to do and they listen. Sometimes what they're told is good, sometimes what they're told is bad. The idea is we empower people to create their financial future, to choose it, to say, this is what I want it to look like. This is how I'm going to get there. And oh, by the way, I'm going to understand what I'm doing so that if Leonard Raskin, my advisor, gets hit by a bus, I know the track that I'm on and I know what the strategies are that I'm doing and I know what needs to be done. I mean, I'll give you a quick, sad tale. We were in Columbus, the boy and I, Matthew and I were moving him out of his apartment. Our last trip to Columbus as a student, graduate,
Wow,
out
that's
of the
got a lot of
apartment.
emo. That's
It,
heavy.
it was, it was, it was something.
Was
It
that
was
heavy,
something.
or was the build for college heavy?
No, the boy had an emotional leaving of Columbus. But Friday morning, we were waiting for the movers to show up to load up the truck and take all the stuff out. Got a phone call and a text from a dear client who his son. This client has been ill for a while and passed in his sleep on Thursday night.
Oh,
And his son called me and said, "Hey, we need to know what to do next." And I said, "Well, here's what you do next. You do this. You do this. You do this." And the family's all together and dealing with those decisions. But for almost 30 years, I've advised this family and now advise all the children, 3 children, the way we've advised the parents. And parents long ago started bringing the kids to meetings, making sure the kids knew what the financial future was all about. And we asked some pretty tough questions. One of the things we asked back when was, uh, what do you get? What are the benefits financially and otherwise of being a member of this family? What does that look like? And then number two is, what's expected of you being a member of this family? What do you have to do? What is your responsibility in the future? What are your finances? What are our
those are heavy
finances?
questions. When I
Absolutely.
think of like people who have some affluence and wealth,
Yep.
that somebody like you gets in a room with them and their
Yep.
kids and their family. Pick anybody I've ever had on the show or met. They
Yep.
all have families. They all have money. They all have divorces, kids,
Yes, yes.
problems,
And
all of that,
here's the
health,
thing.
all of that. Yep.
And I don't want to disparage T. Rowe Price. We had a great conversation. They're a great company. But they don't talk to people about that. They want you to invest your money with them, and that's fine. After that, okay, great. You have your money with them. You move your money away from them. Okay, you moved your money away from them. They'll get another person to invest with them. We are very personal in our advice, and we empower people to make decisions, to choose their financial future, to understand what it is that they're doing and what the impact of that is, not only on them, on the community, on charities they care about, on their children, on their spouses, on their family, and make hard decisions. And what can you expect from this family? What can't you expect from this family? And what's expected of you being part of this family? And those questions, like you said, they're not easy, but they come to different answers than this is how we invest our money. They come to purpose. They come to how do we deploy our capital? What do we want it to be? Do we want it to help big business by investing with T. Rowe Price or someone else? Or do we want to find startup companies that we want to help grow and become the next great company? Where do we deploy our money? Are we only after return? Are we after social good as well? What's important? You got all of that to think about. And too many people are just told, well, put your money in your 401k, invest it for retirement, you'll be okay. Well, that's not who people are. People are more than the sum of their net wealth. It's what's their net worth. And that's what we talk about. We talk about what to do with your money to your best use and your family's use and community you live in and the people you deal with and what hits your life.
And if
That's
you
what it
see him
means.
every year at his holiday party, you might be lucky enough to get one of the Raskin Global
There you go.
crab hammers that have the beer opener. Leonard Raskin can be found at Raskin Global. All sorts of information and wisdom and sort of money 101 available for you up there at the website. At some point, there's a rumor you're doing the Orioles Guardians game next week, but I know I
We
have you at
are.
Pappas next week as well. Pappas, we're going to be at Costas on Thursday this week. Jessica Vallis, who has redone our new website, we will have permanent fonts at some point before the week is over. Pete Caringi, Chris Emery, my old school rock and roll friend joining us. John Patty's going to join us next week at Pappas. I'm going to be getting Johnny O out before the month's over. I got to find Johnny O and Johnny Eisenberg, who's got his book out as well this summer. So I'll be finding a whole bunch of old friends this summer. We're going to talk about Mr. Rubenstein. We're going to talk about the Ravens' chances, and I get my wife her broken ankle grounding me here this summer as we build a bigger, better Baltimore positive for all. We've had rock stars on this week. Mark Bryan came on. Thomas Dolby's been on with us this week. We talked about old rock stars.
Science.
Science
Science.
playing at the Anthem in a couple of weeks in early July with a whole bunch of it. Wang Chung is playing with them. So, I mean, I find out that Wang Chung is playing.
Mm.
I loved Wang Chung. So I got to talk to Thomas. Maybe get Wang Chung on the show. That would be great. Leonard will be with me at Pappas next Tuesday. We'll be at Costas this Thursday. We will have scratch-offs from the Maryland lottery to give away. Gold Rush Sevens, doublers. We had some winners at Cooper's. Had some Phillies fans that won. Don't hold that against me, but
Hey.
I'm non-denominational. I got to give the
Right.
lottery tickets out to whoever's in the bar. Thank God for those people and all the money left behind over the weekend.
Amen.
I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, watching the Yankees, watching the Astros, and waiting for, I don't know, summer to get here. And I think this is the week. It's hot, hot, hot. Back for more on BaltimorePositive.com right after this.